October 11th, right around the corner now. But it's not just another day, is it? It's the International Day of the Girl Child.
Right.
And it's not just something someone, whipped up. This is a day the UN put on the calendar back in 2011.
Yeah, 2011.
To really focus on girls around the world. And you've given us a really interesting mix of things to look at today. We've got like the big picture of what this day is all about, but then we're also going to zoom in on a personal story, really showing how this day is making a difference.
It's a good mix.
Yeah.
It's going to be a really interesting way to understand what this initiative is all about.
Okay, so International Day of the Girl Child. It's easy to kind of, just breeze past it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But this one, it's about something much bigger.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's not just about saying, hey, girls are great, pat them on the head. It's about action. It's about looking at the world and saying, how do we make this a world where every girl can truly thrive? We got to be honest about the challenges, and we got to fight for their rights.
Okay, so challenges. When we were prepping for this deep dive, the thing that really struck me was how this year's International Day of the Girl Child has some really specific themes. We're not just talking in these big, vague ideas, but like real tangible stuff.
Right. Like education, that's huge.
Yeah.
They keep coming back to that. And for good reason, because education, that's what gives a girl choices. It lets her stand up, speak up, shape her own life.
It's that saying, right?
Yeah.
Educate a girl, you educate a nation.
Exactly. And it's not just, learning your ABCs.
Yeah.
The source material, they specifically call for more girls in STEM.
Scam me.
Science, tech, all that. We need girls leading in those fields.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Break those barriers down.
But I think we also need to, and I'm kind of hesitant to bring it up, but it's the elephant in the room. Like we can't ignore the fact that girls around the world, they're dealing with some really tough issues, especially when it comes to like their health, their well-being.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's the reality. And the source material, they don't shy away from it at all.
No, they don't.
They bring up child marriage, teen pregnancy, the fact that in so many places, girls just don't have access to good, safe health care, reproductive health care especially. These are really complicated problems, usually tangled up with cultural stuff, poverty.
Yeah.
And it takes a lot of different approaches to even begin to unravel it.
Yeah, it's not a quick fix, that's for sure.
No, not at all.
It's about giving girls the power to make their own choices about their bodies, their futures, their lives. And that's a long road. I mean, these are big issues, right? Global problems. But then you gave us this story about Amina. And I don't know, for me, that's when it all kind of clicked.
Yeah.
Like there's the big picture stuff, but then there's Amina's story. She's living in this small village, like way out in the country. And like we were just talking about education for girls, it's not always at the top of the list for families there. Right?
Sadly, no, it's a familiar story in a lot of places.
They're just trying to survive, put food on the table so the daughters, they're expected to help out at home, in the fields. School's not always a given. And then Amina, she finds out about the International Day of the Girl Child, and boom.
It's amazing how a little awareness can be like this catalyst, right?
Totally. It's like this light bulb moment. She realizes this isn't just some day on a calendar. This day, it's about her.
Yeah.
About the girls in her village.
Right.
So she decides she's going to do something. And I love this part. She gets her friends together, and they decide to put on this event for their whole village.
I love that. See, that's what I'm talking about. It's like the source material talks about policy advocacy, and here's Amina and her friends. They are the advocates, in their own backyard.
Exactly. So picture this. Village Square, they've got banners, posters, all about girls' rights. They're doing skits, songs, the whole 9 yards. They're getting the message out there loud and clear. And here's the best part. The village elder, who everyone listens to, right? He's so impressed by these girls that he stands up and says he's going to support girls' education, like publicly supports it.
Whoa, that's huge.
Right, talk about community engagement. It's one thing to have it written down in some law somewhere, but when the community itself gets behind it, that's when things really start to shift.
It's that bottom-up change that's so powerful.
Totally. So Amina, with her village behind her, she's able to stay in school. She's working towards becoming a doctor. It's hopeful. It gives you a good feeling.
Yeah.
But then...
Yeah, it's not always a happy ending.
Unfortunately, you're right. And our source material, it doesn't shy away from that. They get real about the violence that girls face. And honestly, it's pretty scary stuff.
I know. And it's tough to talk about, but we can't just gloss over it.
No, absolutely not.
So the source material, they give this statistic. It's almost hard to believe, but they say almost 1 in 3 women worldwide, they've experienced like physical or sexual violence at some point in their lives.
It's awful. And when you look specifically at girls under 18, that number is closer to 1 in 5 who've experienced sexual violence. It's heartbreaking, honestly. And that's not even, we haven't even gotten to things like child marriage,
Right, the source material brings that up too.
which, again, it's often seen as this cultural thing. But let's be real, it's robbing girls of their education, their childhoods,
Their futures.
everything. It's just wrong. 12 million girls every year married before they even turn 18. It's mind-boggling.
It's a global crisis.
And then, and I hate to even bring it up, but we have to, the source material talks about female genital mutilation,
Yeah.
FGM.
It's a really tough subject.
It's tough to even think about.
Right.
Over 200 million. That's what the source material said. Girls and women living with the effects of this.
It's a horrifying reality.
It is.
Yeah.
So with all of this, where do we even begin? What can we do?
Well, the source material talks about a few key things.
Okay.
Education, that's a big one, and economic empowerment, giving girls the tools to be independent.
Right, so they can make their own choices.
Exactly. When girls are educated, they know their rights, and when they can support themselves, they have more options.
You mentioned STEM earlier, and I think that fits in here too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Getting more girls into STEM fields, that's huge because it opens up all these opportunities, careers that have always been dominated by men.
Yeah, it's about breaking those barriers down. But it can't just be about education, can it?
You're right. We also need legal reform, strong laws that protect girls from violence and discrimination. But, and this is important, laws don't mean much if nobody enforces them or if communities don't support them.
Oh, it's got to be a team effort.
Exactly. We need governments, communities, families, everyone working together to create a world where girls feel safe, where they feel valued.
Where they can just thrive,
Exactly. We need to support organizations that are fighting for girls' rights. We need to be talking about these issues, raising awareness. Every little bit helps.
I think that's a good place to wrap up, honestly. Because it's true. Every little bit does help. And the more we talk about this, the more aware we are of the problems, the better chance we have of actually solving them. So to everyone listening, let's keep this conversation going. It's the International Day of the Girl Child, yeah, but this is something we need to be thinking about acting on all year round, right? It's on all of us.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. This was great.